here's episode 2. Hope you enjoy it. We've got an interview with Judy from Mills Record Company. We've got Jams with Grams.
I've broken up with more iTunes libraries than I have dudes.
If you're a music nerd or a record collector, finding a good record store is one of the greatest feelings of all time. Sometimes record stores, it's kind of like genres of music. There's things you like about one that you don't like about another, and really what you're looking for is the one that means the most to you. Well, I found that in Mills Record Company. So I went in and just kind of started shopping. Got cool recommendations from them and just got to know the kind of the general vibe and tone of the store. And you know, that is all set by a good leader. And Judy, who owns the company, she's that leader. She's just rad. I asked her if I could interview her. I filmed that interview a year ago today, and the setup for this was I was in KC filming my friend Jared. I was set to record Judy the next day. By the way, you should definitely watch the video of Jaren in KC. It's fantastic. Not because I made it, that has nothing to do with it. It's musically so awesome. This guy went in with another friend of his, and they just made art. That was like day one, and I was like on my game, and like the video looks amazing, and I'm so proud of it, and blah, 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 blah. That's not why I want you to watch it. Still, it's just very good music. Well, that was day one. For whatever reason, by day 2, I was off my game. The interview's fine, but I'm not happy with the audio, and I'm not happy with the visuals on it. It's okay. I don't think it's representative of what I wanted to show, but I think it's cool to still get it out there. It's been a year, so whatever. I will be doing a part 2 with Judy that I will hopefully be able to take more time and care with and be on my game. Yeah, it was a great sit-down interview, and you know, I think I was nervous, she was nervous, and we were just kind of vibing off of each other and having a good time. It was a great interview. I loved it. I love just enjoying. I mean, that's part of one of the reasons I wanted to do this. Number 1 was like just a more excuse to make videos and movies, and number 2, just to like trick people into being my friends, you know, and like stealing their cool secrets and getting to know them. Like, so I'm here at Mills Record Company with the Empress of Records, Judy. So she's the owner and operator and Empress.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Uh-huh.
So
My business cards say I'm the groove professor.
you've been open for 3 years then.
Uh-huh.
So basically you've had an expansion every year.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a good business model.
So you're at home, 2012, 2011, whenever it was, you're like, I think I'll open a record store.
Right. Well, I had worked in the corporate world in different ways for a long time, and it just sort of seemed like the place that I was working at, they were closing that location, and I knew it, and I decided not to take a transfer or whatever, and so I just took some time off, and I just no longer could see myself in sort of a corporate setting anymore, and I thought, now's the time, it's do or die. And I knew I was going to have to take a significant pay cut and a dramatic lifestyle change, which has been harder and easier, but definitely a thing. To do it, and I just decided to do it. At the time, there was no place in Kansas City to go buy new records, and I had tried, during that time period, I had tried to go buy a record that was released, a pretty common record that I was excited to get, and I was sort of like, what? You know? And I'm like, no, in other cities, I could go buy this.
Yeah, totally.
So I felt like that Kansas City, I was hoping that there were other people like me, and there were.
Yeah, right.
So that's how I ended up opening it.
Well, and I mean, since then, now there's a couple other record stores that have opened, right? Yeah. So you were like before, you're like.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to, but yes, people made fun of me for opening. I mean, it's like,
totally.
What do you think you're doing? And even local newspapers were like that's not going to work.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's exciting that it did work.
Let me just ask you this: were you a big record collector before opening, or does it like the sickness came afterwards?
Right. No, I actually think I don't have the sickness.
Oh,
but
really?
I do love records, and
Uh-huh.
I love music actually even more than I love records. So I've always, you know, always loved music. I've always wanted to know, you know, what's coming out. I'm always, you know, looking for the next thing, and that's always been a passion of mine. But I prefer to listen to records versus keeping my iPhone updated.
Yeah, sure.
And I've broken up with more iTunes libraries than I have dudes. Like, I swear, because it's just I don't
Yeah.
enjoy that part of it all.
Yeah.
So. Just to simplify it, it's just like I'll stream or I'll buy records.
Yeah, yeah.
My record collection isn't gigantic, and what I do is very much, I'm not your normal collector.
Uh-huh.
So I have a couple of people that I do collect of them, but everybody else is just like, I'll get it, I listen to it, I love it. And then when I'm like, every now and then I'll go through my records, I'm like, yeah, I can let go of that.
Yeah,
I can let
yeah.
go of that. So I don't have the giant collection, and
Sure.
I don't you know, have this need to kind of like,
Yeah, like
I want what I want to hear right now,
Mhm.
and then I might get tired of it, and then I'll pass it
sure.
on.
Well, it's probably better. I mean, they always say the most successful drug dealers are ones that don't really get into their own product.
That's totally true. Sometimes I'll look at this and I'm like, I really want this, but do I want the $70?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I got to pay the light bill. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
sell
totally.
this one.
You said there's a couple of artists that you like collect their works. Like, who is that?
Well, I'm a big early White Stripes fan, so I have several of theirs that are, you know, rare or whatever. And my favorite record of theirs is the final. I can't even think of the title right now, but it's their final show in Memphis, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
the live. And I was there for that.
Oh, yeah.
And so that one means a lot to me.
Sure.
And so it was from the Vault package. or
Oh,
whatever.
right.
So it's probably my favorite record to own because it takes me back to a particular time in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I connect with music a lot. Way more than I don't connect to music like a musician does because I'm not a musician.
Sure.
But I connect it more to like an emotional element.
Right.
I always say I listen to music like a shaman
Yeah.
listens to music. You know, what I need at that particular time is who I end up finding. And so that's why that record means a lot to me.
Some of my favorite records are more emotional than they are like the best record in the world
Yes.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear like that's kind of your mentality as well.
Totally,
So-
and that's where like the experience of listening to it. Like I listened to Sturgill Simpson's Better and Modern Sounds of Country Music a million times in the store, but then I had like a real connection with it when I dropped a needle at home alone.
Mhm.
You know, and so many times it's like that. Like with the Nico case, the Worst Things Good. I waited to hear it until I could play it in the
Mhm.
store by myself. And it was amazing. Like I remember those moments, you know,
Yeah.
almost like I remember different shows. I mean,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a musical experience where
Right.
you really get to connect. And somebody asked me if I, you know, what musical instruments I play on my turntable. That's
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
that's it. But that's enough.
One of the questions I like to ask people is like, not everybody has a solid answer for it. So if you don't got it, that's cool. But do you remember like your first interaction with records, or like with one that you purchased yourself?
Well, I remember my first interaction with records was from my dad.
Yeah.
And so my dad worked a lot. He owned his own business, and so he wasn't around the house a lot. But whenever he was, like on the weekend, and he started playing records, that's when we knew that things were going to get fun.
Yeah.
And so I always had that positive reinforcement
Mhm.
with that, and you know, listening to my dad's like Tammy Wynette and Charlie Pride and
right.
Jim Reeves and all those people.
So he's a country guy.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, and of course I hated country then for the longest time because of that, and now I'm actually appreciating it.
Yeah, sure.
So, so I would say that's my first real experience with it. And then I feel one of my most embarrassing moments I can still remember was that I was in my bedroom. I think I was like 5th grade or something, belting out the Carpenters. And I was playing it really loud and just singing it.
Yeah.
And my dad walked in on me. And I remember it was like, oh my God, he saw straight into my soul because I was feeling
Yeah, yeah.
that song
Oh, yeah,
so
totally.
hard, you know? So I still remember that. And I remember he looked at me, we made eye contact, and he just quietly left.
He was like, nah.
Yeah, I'm walking away now.
So, you know, I have a similar experience where I've always been interested in cameras and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
like cameras and music have been like my two things.
Uh-huh.
And so we had this like VHS camera, you know, and I remember like put on a cassette tape and filmed myself like performing to it
Nice.
on like a tape that I just thought was like a garbage tape,
Uh-huh.
and then that ended up in like a family film.
That's funny.
It was brutal because it's still out there.
Oh yeah, but they really
like your moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's between you and your father.
That's true.
Half of my family has seen this really embarrassing, and I thought I was dressed really cool,
Yeah.
and it was bad. It was
That's
just a bad
hilarious.
scene. Yeah, and I mean, I had a guitar I was fake strumming. It was brutal. But do you have a holy grail of something you're looking for?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a holy grail per
Yeah.
se, but I let pass the couple Grinder Man records.
Oh yeah.
And I'm kicking myself for that.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely looking. I don't want to buy it online. 'Cause
Mhm.
that's easy. You can go do
Yeah,
that.
totally.
So I'm just waiting for it to come in the store.
Yeah.
And it hasn't come in the store. So I'm definitely looking for those.
Right. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Like most record collectors at this point, like I have a Discogs account, and I can buy from there.
Yeah.
But there's something about like, and I think that's part of the thing with record collectors too, is it's like the hunt.
Yeah.
Like if I go in this store, what am I going to find?
Yeah.
Because I can find anything online.
Right.
And I would rather even pay a little bit more to support like a store versus like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
I
whatever.
totally know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. As a store owner,
I
you're like,
feel it.
I hope everyone's like that, right? So what's the currently right now? What's the record you think you're getting the most spins out of?
Well, I'll tell you that in the store, we've been playing tons of the Psyche record, the new one called Sun Showers. We like that record a lot.
Yeah.
So I bet we play it once a day in here, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But we really like that record. So that's a really good one. I have been on this very bad K-pop spin, so I've been listening to a lot of that. Just in the car.
I'm worried that that's gonna get to me someday. Like that's why I put my hand in my hands. Like I heard it, and I'm like, I hate this. But then I'm thinking, sometimes when you hate something, you end up loving it, and then you're just stuck.
It's just so out there,
Yeah.
and then it's very catchy, and so so I've listened to a lot of that personally. That case,
I'm sure that all the older people were saying the same thing about our music as what I'm saying about the music now. I can see if you were really high or drunk, I can see relating to this music, but it's a lot of noise. And a lot of hollering. I don't know how his voice holds up. Wildcat. That's pretty. Got a good guitarist. They got horns in there? I can recognize some of it. Of course, they do not have a drum in there at all. Probably 2 or 3. 3 guitars. Wild Thing. Wild Thing. He is wild, I tell you, he's wild. They ought to cut the drums and turn his voice, and I can understand the words if they did that. But, well, what did I think about it? Yeah. Well, too much drums, and the singer was, well, I couldn't understand him. Just once in a while I'd get a word, had good guitar. But that was it. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I just remember thinking that maybe if he didn't scream so loud, I could have understood him.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs of all time.
You're kidding me.
I love that song. My original intention for the recent pickups was to highlight some of the things that I had purchased from Mills to kind of like spur people like to check it out, as if like I'm going to influence a bunch of people, but whatever. But look, I've had just like the worst last few weeks. Just like weird health things. I'm sick right now. I'm still trying to get over it. A summer cold is the dumbest thing in the world. Anyway, so I was in St. Louis this week, and I stopped by another record store I really like called Euclid Records. And I bought some records, so I'm going to talk about some of the things I picked up there. I don't know if you guys are like me, and sometimes you go into a record store and you've got like some spare cash and you're like, okay, I'm definitely going to spend X amount of money here at this record store. And you walk around and you don't really find anything. You're like, well, that's weird. I was prepared to spend money and couldn't really find anything. Like the vibe was off or whatever. Well, like I had that exact opposite feeling going into Euclid. I wasn't feeling good. I was kind of in a crap mood. And I was like, well, whatever, I'll just go. I got to get out of the hotel. So I went to Euclid with the intention of probably not buying anything, kind of just cruising. And maybe if I find something random. So the opposite happened. I just kept finding records and records and records. I kept going like, well, wonder if they have this. Boom, walk over there, they have it. And on top of that, I was able to buy my lady friend a couple of albums that she wanted too. So it was like, I have to stop right now or I'm going to not be able to afford to get home. A Euclid Mighty Markdown, latest of Montreal album, for $10. I mean, that's kind of a home run. Super love this album. Black Star, Mos Def and Talib Kweli. This front to back, what a great album. When I was showing my lady what I had picked up and she knew I had bought her stuff, she thought I bought this for her and I was like, no way, man, this is mine. Oh yeah, you know the Dead Kennedys fan. Like, I love Jello Biafra, Mojo Nixon, Jello Biafra, Prairie Home Invasion. Awesome album. Super recommend it. I've been listening to it for probably like 20 years at this point. So I was watching AV Undercover. This band, the Screaming Females, covered Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. And I have listened to that stupid song so many times. I was just like, you know what? I like the vibe of this band. And I checked some other stuff out on YouTube and had to pick it up. Thank you for listening to my crazy voice and enduring all the weirdness of this particular episode. I will catch you on the other side.
Oh, too far. I thought I had that one nailed.